Good evening and welcome to our council meeting for Wednesday, March the 25th. First, I'd like to let everyone know that this meeting is being audio, video recorded, and live streamed on Innisfil's YouTube channel and shall form part of the record, which is retained in accordance with the town's retention bylaw. And if you'd like more information about that bylaw, you can talk to the clerk's office. So welcome. We have one councillor who's joining us virtually this evening, Councillor Waters, and we have the absence of Councillor Ices with regrets. And to let everyone know that we do have quorum, and we'll start the meeting with our land acknowledgement from Councillor Zanella.
The town of Innisfil, the town of Innisfil acknowledges that the town of Innisfil is situated on treaty land that is steeped in rich Indigenous history. The town also acknowledged that land is traditional territories of the First Peoples of Turtle Island and is shared between the Anishinaabe and peoples of Beausoleil First Nation, Chippewas of Rama First Nation, and Chippewas of Georgina Island First Nation, and we thank them for generations of stewardship. This meeting place is still home to many Indigenous people, and as settlers, we are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. The town acknowledges the forced sacrifices that are the foundation of Canadian society today. We are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture and committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect with all First Nation, Métis, and Inuit.
Thank you, Councillor Zanella, and thank you to everybody who's here this evening and those who are watching online. So we're at item 2 on the agenda, which is our open forum. So our open forum is the opportunity for members to speak to a maximum of 2 minutes to give us information or make comment on an item that is on tonight's agenda. And we have 3 on our list, so we'll start with Rabbi Zevi Kaplan, and Reverend Kaplan wants to speak to item G4, which is our Education and Sharing Day proclamation. Welcome, Rabbi.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. First of all, for everything you do to support our community and for all residents of Innisfil, and in particular for marking March 29th once again as Education and Sharing Day. I just want to speak for a moment. I know giving a rabbi 2 minutes is quite a challenge, but we'll try to make this as quickly as possible. I just want to share the idea of the day, and that is that the education and the focus that we put on teaching our children is the day emphasizes that shouldn't be focused only on imparting knowledge on standard education, English, math, science, etc., how to make a living, but actually how to live better and to focus on moral and ethical education. And especially in today's day and age with our youth facing so much challenges, particularly a mental health crisis, and there's such a thirst for more meaning and more purpose, then this day speaks exactly to that. This day is honoring the birthday, the 124th birthday of the Rebbe, the leader of the Chabad movement, which we're honored to serve as his representatives here in Innisfil. But in recent years, the Rebbe has become much more of just a Jewish leader and a global spiritual leader as more and more turned to his teachings for inspiration and guidance. And the Rebbe spoke so much of education and how education shouldn't be only about giving tools for a better living, but actually for a better life. And just to consecrate this moment, I would like to gift to the town a small little humble charity box, and I'd be the first one to put something inside. And if I could humbly suggest, if the charity box is kept in a place that people can see it, and staff coming in during the day have an opportunity to give small but routine charity, which I guess town staff or council, whoever it is, can make a decision, a charity of the town's choice, where the charity should go, like this, encouraging all members of Innisfil to focus on compassion, to focus on kindness. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rabbi, and we'll put that in a place of honor, so thank you for that. Next on our list is Deb Crawford, and Deb is speaking on item B2, which are the Innisfil Heritage Advisory Committee meeting minutes.
Thank you, Your Worship. Deputy Mayor Fowler, council members, staff, and guests at home and here. It's a pleasure to take a couple of minutes today. I notice on the agenda is the report from the Heritage Advisory Committee, and we're recommending that council support an initiative that has been brought to our attention for the Heritage Helping Housing Grant, which is intended to help individuals who are in designated properties or properties in Heritage District actually create more opportunities for housing. It is a grant that would be with matching funds. It's intended to incentivize, to a certain extent, being a heritage designated property, but more importantly, to help address the housing shortage that we are all trying to struggle with. We currently have a tax rebate program here in Innisfil, which is really great, but that rests on the property owners of the rest of us who are not eligible for that grant. This would be province-wide. It would not come directly out of the town's budget. It would be equal and accessible across Ontario. And again, it would be administered by the province without direct responsibility for the municipality beyond the normal business of permit approvals and site plan and so on and so forth. So we really hope you would consider providing support for this program and to helping individuals and retain the heritage that we have in Innisfil. It is special, it is ours, and it is for future generations. And I think this program would help that in helping our young folks find a place. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, I'm more than willing to help, but otherwise, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Crawford. We don't have questions in open forum, but we will be discussing that when it comes up in item B2, I'm sure. So thank you so much for that. And finally, on open forum, we have Kelly Lester, and Kelly is here to speak to items 5.1 and C.1, which is the Transit Master Plan update. Whenever you're ready, Ms. Lester.
Mayor Dolan and members of council, our lives are not private assets. My name is Kelly Lester. At 10:44 a.m. today, I filed a timestamp notice of inquiry and a revised evidence sheet regarding the Transit Master Plan and Project RD274. This includes the $7.1 million urbanization of the 6th line and the $1.56 million for the 7th line reconstruction known as Project RD258. On March 11, 2026, this council authorized InPower Transmission to proceed with option A. This involves the undisclosed strategic partner authorized under that resolution. Staff confirmed this partnership provides capital for unregulated energy and infrastructure initiatives through Enterprises, Inc. Under Section 29.2 of MFI PPA, the town is legally required to provide notice of collection for all personal information. I am requesting a technical audit to confirm if our transit sensors are collecting re-identifiable metadata without this mandatory public notice. Under Mayoral Decision MD-0123, signed November 2nd, 2023, the power to hire and fire department heads was delegated to the CAO, who also serves as a director on the board of the utility that we are discussing. This creates a verifiable conflict in independent municipal oversight of these unregulated assets. Following the February 17, 2026 phishing breach of the mayor's official email, the security of our data sharing agreements with private partners is a documented risk. I am formally requesting for the record, first, the legal identity of the undisclosed strategic partner in the InPower transmission deal. Second, a public privacy impact assessment and the independent security audit as permitted by policy CPO 907. We cannot adopt a transit plan that embeds unregulated surveillance into our streets without a digital sovereignty bylaw to stop private companies from tracking where we go and who we meet. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lester. That ends open forum, so we'll now go into our agenda, and the first item on our agenda this evening is the approval of the agenda. So could I please have a mover and a seconder to approve tonight's agenda? Moved by Councillor Zanella, seconded by Councillor Richardson. All those in favor? That is carried. And the next is a disclosure of interest. Are there any disclosures of interest on tonight's agenda? I am seeing none, but if one becomes apparent to you, please let it be known at that time. And that takes us to item 5, which is presentations and petitions. And our first presentation this evening is the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat with a check presentation for the RVH Innisfil campus. Welcome. I'm going to, if there's anything you'd like to say first, if you could please say it into the mic, because people who are watching online won't be able to hear or see any of the other activities. Welcome.
Hey, hi, sorry, I didn't prepare to say anything. I was just going to come here and deliver the check, but putting us on the spot. So I'm a representative of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Youth Association, and this is the 3rd annual run that we've held in Innisfil. And we hold these runs all across Canada, and the sole purpose of it is just to raise funds for various projects within the communities that we live in. So we are very honored that here in Innisfil, the RVH, Future Hospital, it's something that the entire community can benefit from. So that's why we're here. You know, service to humanity is a part of our faith, and that's what we strive for. So some members of our youth association are here with me, and we just want to present the check and see if we can make it bigger and better next year. I just got approval today and confirmation that the date is confirmed. So September 13th, 2026, at the Innisfil Beach Park. Hopefully, most of the renos will be done by then, and we can use the beautiful backdrop that we did in the past few years with the lake, and we hope to see everybody there and raise more money and benefit the RVH. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Mengele. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I just wanted for people who are online to know what's going on, and I look forward to hearing from Mr. Gilchrist, our campaign chair for Innisfil.
So, Your Worship, Deputy Mayor, members of council, and residents of Innisfil, I speak for all of us when I thank these gentlemen. I believe this is our 3rd year in Innisfil, and so this is a 10-year campaign for the RVH Foundation, and the goal is $100 million. We're halfway there. The goal is to enlarge the RVH, and at the same time, build the South Campus in Innisfil, which is going to evolve into the Innisfil Hospital. And it's because of organizations like yours and people like you that this is a reality. It's not a dream anymore. So on behalf of all of us here in the town of Innisfil, thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much. Thank you, Your Worship.
I also want to thank the Ahmadiyya Muslim Youth Association for organizing this event. Anybody who's organized any type of an event knows how much work it is to put something like that on, and we really very much appreciate it. And I also want to tell everyone that September the 13th, 2026 is going to be a lovely sunny day, because every time we have a run for this event, it is always a beautiful day. So if you're planning like a birthday party or something, you're guaranteed for a nice day on that day. So thank you. Did you want members of council to come down?
Yes, I request all the members of council as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
And any staff members that want to come as well.
Thank
More than
you.
welcome, yeah. We're going to stand here? Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful, as Mr. Gilchrist said, we're halfway there. Every little bit helps, and certainly wonderful that we can run or jump in the lake, as as we did there a few weeks ago at Friday Harbor, and all of it's going towards our beautiful South Campus of the hospital, so thank you. So a mover and a seconder, please, for the check presentation. Moved by Councillor Drodge and seconded by Councillor Constantine. All those in favor? That is carried. Next on our list of presentations this evening is item 5.2, and that is our Innisfil Idea Lab and Library, the Innisfil Library Board with their annual update, and we're very happy to welcome Chair Smith here tonight along with the other library board members.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor Dolan, Deputy Mayor Fowler, members of council, staff and community. I'm Anne Smith, the chair of the Innisfil Public Library Board. Joining me this evening is Vice Chair Rob Nichol and Board Member Sue Bennett. Also in the chambers tonight is our CEO, Erin Scucciamari, and our Director of Communication, Catherine Schultzen. I'd also like to acknowledge our council representatives, Councillor Richardson and Councillor Saunders, for their active role on the Library Board. Thank you for the opportunity to shine a light on the meaningful work of the Idea Lab and Library. Our successes are your successes, and we are grateful to share them with you tonight. Before our video presentation, we'd like to draw your attention to some key projects and highlights from the past year.
So the library definitely hit the road running this year, and actually quite literally, by launching our new outreach vehicle, the Idea Lab on the Go. We went to parks, markets, and events throughout the summer, showcasing cool tech, sharing stories, and meeting our community right where they were. We initiated a new pilot project with the Library Holds Locker, located at the Wheel in Sandy Cove Acres, which offers a convenient way for our residents to borrow and return items right in their own neighborhood. This project is also helping us evaluate and explore new ways to deliver library services throughout different parts of Innisfil. In 2025, there were over 170,000 visits to our library branches and over 295,000 items borrowed physically and digitally. We prioritized making our collections more accessible by adding new types of talking books and formats that support readers of every ability, while also expanding our multilingual collections. The addition of these new collections for children reflect our growing community. Research shows that building strong literacy skills in a child's first language creates a foundation of learning additional languages. When children and families can access materials in their first language, we help set them up for success.
The programs we offer remain at the heart of library service, whether it's story time, computer classes, or dedicated programming for children, teens, adults, and seniors. These programs make a real difference each year. In fact, over 3,000 programs were offered at the library in 2025, attended by over 45,000 participants. As you know, we have enjoyed a hugely successful partnership with the town and the YMCA in delivering teen nights. However, the Building Safer Communities project and Council's ongoing support for youth programming has allowed us to create even more opportunity outside of teen nights. We have focused our programming for teens on building skills they need to thrive, like resume building and job search. We are also one of the largest providers of volunteer opportunities for youth. 100 teens volunteered for us last year, and we have nearly 400 volunteer opportunities per year. We are incredibly proud to have planted the Remembering Garden at the Lakeshore branch. Rooted in Indigenous knowledge and developed in partnership with Knowledge Keepers, this Indigenous medicine garden has been a space of learning for our community. It guided learning opportunities and community conversations and continues our ongoing work to address the calls to action of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. We will be reopening the garden this June. The library has become a hub for integrated social service delivery, helping fill a long-standing gap in our community. 11 social service agencies offer services out of our branches, and this is in addition to the Human Services Navigator on site, supported by the county and CFS Counseling and Wellbeing. Ontario Works is available at the library branch 3 days a week, and family law clinics provide free 2-hour legal consultations. These agencies collaborate with the Navigator for a coordinated approach to service for Innisfil residents. But it's library staff that have heard directly from the community about their needs and have facilitated these partnerships, the space, and the access to otherwise inaccessible services for our residents.
The Library Board is so proud of the work of the library over the past year, and we deeply value Council's ongoing support. However, it is sometimes best to hear about the impact of your investment in library services from the community itself. Enjoy our 2025 Library Impact video. Could you please play the video? Hi, my name is Anne Smith, and I am the very proud chair of the Innisfil Library Board. Some places are more than buildings. They are spaces where people feel welcome the moment they arrive, where curiosity begins, confidence grows, and community takes shape. Each day, the doors open to children discovering stories, teens developing skills and independence, newcomers taking courageous steps forward, families learning together, and seniors staying connected. There is warmth here, there is possibility, there is belonging. This is where ideas are explored, stories begin, and neighbors become community.
There's so many opportunities, and the staff is most helpful, and it just, we're lucky to have such a resource. It opens your eyes to what's available to you.
I've made 7 lovely friends, new friends.
There's books to keep you entertained, video games if you have a console, and the sessions that are the best. And another reason is because the library feels like home.
We bring people together through shared experiences, programs, partnerships, and community celebration.
As a community navigator, my role is to help clients feel more supported navigating the social services system. My job is to help reduce barriers and also help people connect to community resources. There's also a lot of social services under the roof of this library, which allows people to get the help and resources that they need. It is a place where people are welcome and belong here, and everyone needs a sense of belonging.
You come in here to feel like you matter. When I come into this library, I feel like I belong.
We're not just opening a garden, we're opening a space for connection, care, and cultural visibility. A place where Indigenous medicines grow in the heart of the community, where stories and relationships can root and flourish. This wasn't just about planting, it was about listening to the land, listening to each other, and making space for Indigenous presence and knowledge in public spaces.
To find a place like Idea Lab Library was the luckiest thing ever happened in our lives. Every time when we are coming, we can learn something new, and the most important, we can find books in our own language. So this place feels for us like a small part of our home.
Acting as a community connector, the library links residents to one another and to tools that help them thrive.
I'm a Sandy Cove resident, and I'm so happy that the Innisfil Idea Lab and Library decided to put this wonderful locker into one of our clubhouses. The whole locker has been a tremendous asset to the villagers in Sandy Cove Acres.
At the heart of the library are the people, staff, partners and volunteers whose compassion and dedication turn services into impact and spaces into places of belonging. It meets life's needs with responsiveness and care, while also preparing residents for the future through technology, literacy and lifelong learning.
It's just a lifeline for me. I'm a #1 fan of the Hack Lab at the Innisfil Idea Lab and Library. And every time I go, I learn something new, and they're so helpful and so patient.
The staff that coordinate the programs, the staff that are at the library, they are not just the staff that are teaching you, they become friends. They become people that you can talk to, you get to know, and yeah, they make it.
The library's had such a big impact on our life. When I first had my son, I didn't really have a lot of other mom friends or people to talk to about stuff. We started coming every day, and we've made such a good community. So it's completely changed the whole parenting experience.
The library brings us the joys, and I can make some friends here. It makes my kids happy, and I'm happy.
We like to come here on our lunch break and study.
Hi, my name is Lindsay, and I am an author, and I'm so delighted to have my books in this incredible, beautiful library. It is such an incredible space for creation, for reading, for quiet spaces, kids, adults. It's multi-generational space. It's such an inspiring institution here in Innisfil, and we're so lucky that it's here.
Oh, we love the library because we love to play with toys.
I love to play with toys.
Bye guys, see you next time. Bye. Thank you. Bye.
A place to discover, a place to belong, a place to grow together. This is your library. Okay, as I said there, this is your library. As residents and council members who champion the library, you have, put my glasses on here, you have invested in more than a building. You have invested in a place where people feel seen, supported, and inspired. It is thanks to this council's support that our residents discover new opportunities, access critical services, and build community. Thank you. We'd be happy to take any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Chair Smith. Questions or comments for Chair Smith? Councillor Saunders.
Thanks, everybody on the library board. It's a pleasure being on the library. Somebody tried to make me say it's a pleasure of my life, but it's a pleasure. I just want to say I've had quite a few people tell me about the holds locker at Sandy Cove, and they love it, especially in the bad weather and stuff. So it's a really good addition, and I'm glad that we're on the board.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? Councillor Richardson.
Yes, thank you very much for the presentation. I as well love being on the board, and I love looking at the numbers. I love seeing that there was over 45,000 programs. There was over 100 teen volunteers that got hours. There was over 5,000 events and stuff like that. I love seeing that, so keep up the good work.
Thank you. Other questions or comments from anyone? So I too want to add my thanks to the hardworking staff and library board members. I know that the community navigator has made a world of difference. The world has changed, and we've have challenges in our community we've never had to face before, and the community navigator with the social services. I will add that at the county, we were the only municipality that received a bump in our funding this year. Everyone else received either the same amount. So very, very happy to see that. But honestly, when I saw that, I think the biggest compliment you could give a library is it feels like home. And I heard that 2 or 3 times. So kudos to all of you for providing us with this wonderful service and making people feel like they're home at our library. Okay. And I will ask Councillor Saunders and Councillor Richardson for the recommendation that the Innisfil Library Board annual update be received. All those in favor? That is carried. And before we just head out, I have a bit of a task to perform. So the Ontario Volunteer Service Awards were handed out last year, and unfortunately, Board Member Bennett and Chair Smith didn't receive their awards, so I have them here for you tonight, and I'd like to present you with your volunteer service awards. Thank you. So Sue Bennett is getting her 10-year award, and it comes with a letter and a pin. Congratulations, Sue.
Thank you.
And I'm looking at the number on this one. And the 5-year award for Ann Smith. Congratulations, Ann. Thank you, and I will also acknowledge that Deb Crawford from our Heritage Committee also received her volunteer award, so thank you for that, Deb. There you are, I brought it with you. And we have one more for a member from our Innisfil Accessibility Advisory Committee, but I won't spoil the surprise until we've had that opportunity. Thank you. So next is item 5.3, and that's Brandon Crerar, Manager of Planning, and we're going to get an update on the Transit Master Plan. Brandon, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Mayor Dolan. Staff were quite pleased to present the Transit Master Plan that's on the agenda tonight. We started this journey towards the end of 2024, and we're going to go through sort of the final findings and what's ultimately before Council tonight for approval. In terms of the overview of the presentation, I do want to go over some of the high-level goals and ambitions of the Transit Master Plan review, as well as some of the key aspects of the Transit Master Plan. We'll also walk through Council and the public the various stages of implementation that are being proposed, both short, medium, and long term, as we go through the slides. It'll also go through some of the budget and cost revenue estimates by each stage, as well as walking through some of the implementation triggers or guidance of how we scale up transit over time as the town continues to grow. And so at a high level, the starting point, the goals of the Transit Master Plan were ultimately to create a sustainable, financially sustainable, but also equitable fare structure, both for our current rideshare, but also as we scale up into other forms of transit. We knew as ridership and population increases, a major component of this Transit Master Plan review was to look at improving cost efficiency, but also balancing those cost efficiencies with the overall service quality and the equitable access of those services for all residents within the town. And as we look at transit holistically, we wanted to make sure that we had consideration for the integration of various transit systems, whether that's users who utilize GO buses, GO trains, the county link system, or intermunicipal transit. So that was certainly a lens of this review. And ultimately, we wanted to assess the viability and have both staff and council have very tangible thresholds of when it makes sense to increase the money invested into different forms of transit. And so I'll speak to that on a variety of slides coming up. In terms of how this process was informed, there was a quite robust public consultation process. It started in December of 2024 into January, where we had our first round of community consultation, which included open houses. It also included a current state needs survey. And we're quite pleased, I recall from communications, there was over 500 respondents to that survey in that initial phase. And that was really looking at the current state of how are things going with our current partnership in rideshare with Uber, and also from a needs perspective, where should the town be going and investing as we continue to grow. And then there's a second round of public consultation, which was focused on a range of options, which sort of range from, do we stick as a town with rideshare and the Uber partnership solely? Do we move completely to fixed routes and on-demand, or is it a hybrid, which ultimately is where we've landed, as you'll see in some of the final slides. There was also a second survey, which was more employer-focused, and so that was also really successful in terms of the number of participants that was provided. And then in September of last year, I did do a presentation that kind of summarized all of the options that we consulted on and provided sort of the general findings, which you'll see in tonight's agenda of where the master plan, what the master plan is recommending. I'll also note on the Get Involved page, we had just under 200 subscribers, people and residents who are interested in keeping up to date with the project and who would have received notice that this is being considered tonight. So certainly quite a bit of consultation, and this certainly informed the range or hybrid of options that landed on our final transit master plan, and I'm going to go through that in detail over the next 7 or 8 slides. In terms of the current state and looking towards the future, we knew in our current rideshare Uber partnership that there certainly has been strong and growing ridership growth, a sign of a healthy transit system. We know from public consultation and feedback from both community and council that it certainly is an exceptional level of service door to door, and there certainly is strong support for transit, both the rideshare, but also different forms of transit, as we've seen through our surveys and public consultation open houses. We did see through our technical analysis and some feedback from public that the fare structure, the transit hub model as we've come to know it, does have advantages, but it does also have some inequities in terms of how much subsidy various riders receive depending where they're traveling to and from. And so we knew that fare structure was something we wanted to take a deeper dive through the transit master plan to understand, what can we offer that's not only year over year attainable, but long-term financially sustainable, and also equitable, that all residents are getting relatively an equal fair share of the subsidies that are being offered townwide. We knew that Uber, through our analysis, is extremely effective, particularly in more rural or less dense areas of town, certainly with the geography where we have urban areas like Alcona, and then a lot of rural agricultural and hamlets. We kind of knew early on in the process, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution, as you'll start to see in the next couple of slides. We also knew that Uber is relatively less cost effective as you get into higher densities and higher trip generating areas, whether that's the current Alcona, especially with the future orbit and higher density development. We thought, from a technical perspective, there is a point at which fixed route transit, larger vehicles, and scaling up of transit is warranted within the town, and I'll explain that as we go through the 3 stages of implementation. We also heard through the public consultation, while it's an exceptional door-to-door service, there are limitations, whether it's accessibility, whether it's families with young children and strollers and car seats. There was the ambition, particularly in urban areas, to have more accessible options for multiple riders within one vehicle. So the next few slides will be a lot more graphical, but I wanted to start by explaining, in the report you'll see that there are 3 stages of implementation, and stage 1 are further broken down into 1A and 1B. And so it's sort of color-coded what's introduced. Stage 1A is predominantly related to the restructuring of the fare structure. It also seeks to expand the intermunicipal rideshare travel. Public and council would be familiar that currently the only transit hub outside of town is the Barrie South GO station. We are looking to introduce Bradford GO as well as part of the Phase 1A implementation, which we think, depending where you're coming from and where you want to get to, including the GTA, having both just fundamentally made sense. We're also looking to align passenger trip booking capabilities to match the vehicle capacity of the vehicle. And I think one of the fundamental ones that came out of the equity piece that I mentioned earlier is currently there's a 30-trip cap on the hub model. And so for those who rely on it on a daily basis, perhaps to get to work Monday to Friday, about halfway to 2/3 through the month, you actually run out of trips. And so the recommendation of this transit master plan in Phase 1A, which is part of the recommendations before council, are to increase the monthly trip cap to 50 for all users from 30. As we get into stage 2, and 1B, you start to introduce the fixed routes predominantly in Alcona. And I'll talk about on future slides that there are some quantitative and some qualitative implementation triggers that would guide staff and future council recommendations in terms of when's the exact right time to make those investments and launch those routes. As you get into stage 3, that's really the full build out, which has further performance KPIs or implementation triggers that would guide council and staff as to when you go to a full system that you'll see visually over the next couple of slides. Before we get to the graphics, I do want to talk about the costs. Stage 1, 2, and 3, as shown before, have various levels of net municipal costs as well as capital expenditures. I do want to highlight, you'll notice here, it doesn't say stage 1A and 1B, it simply says stage 1, and that's because it's the same budget for both stages. The difference being stage 1A is predicated on a revised fare structure for rideshare. Stage 1B, as we introduce the first routes in Alcona, shifts some of the spending from rideshare to fixed routes, but has the same overall budget for that stage. As we get to the 4th, 5th, 6th routes between stages 2 and 3, you'll see that the municipal cost essentially doubles over the 10+ year plan. And then as well, capital expenditures, which would include things like bus stops and those types of infrastructure would kind of scale up over time. I will highlight, and it's something I mentioned in a previous presentation in the fall, it's not the intent of the town to go and purchase, operate, and maintain vehicles. It would either be a contracted service or a partnership, perhaps with City of Barrie, and that's some of the work that would happen as we look to implement the longer-term recommendations. So that's why if you see the capital expenditures are relatively low, it's because we're not purchasing $1 million buses. So in terms of stage 1A, as I mentioned, it really is predicated on a modified fare structure, which I'm going to spend some time on this presentation to explain. Part of this plan, although not something that the town is delivering, is the first fixed route, which would be County Links Route number 7. It's our understanding at this point that that's still scheduled for next summer or fall. There are bus orders that they're working through, as well as the final routing. Staff continue to work with County Links, but that would essentially be the first fixed route in town offered by County Links, and the timing would work within the short-term recommendations of stage 1A. And as mentioned before, the other stage 1A requirements would be to increase the trip cap from 30 to 50 and add Bradford to Barrie South Go as the out-of-town hubs or locations you could access. I wanted to provide some clarity and examples of how the new fare structure would work. And I know when I did a presentation in September of last year, we showed a graphic that basically broke up the town into various zones. And depending on how many zones you were crossing, the fare would increase proportionately. And under that model that we showed as a distance-based model, we want to continue with that. However, what was shown there was if you crossed all 4 zones or went really from one side of the town to the other, the maximum fare that was shown on that presentation was $11.50. If you were taking a very short trip, it would be about $3.25. So we do want to keep that conceptual model of a distance-based approach, but in working closely with Uber and our consultant, Left Turn, Right Turn, our lead on the project, it became apparent that if you designed all of these zones, when you opened your Uber app, you would have 20 to 30 vouchers. It could become a little bit confusing from a user perspective. But also, because there's these zones and they're fairly arbitrary in terms of using the center lines of a road, you might want to get to the grocery store across Innisfil Beach Road. It pushes you maybe 10 or 20 meters further, but it actually doubles your fare. So there were, while it worked conceptually and we still want to maintain that distance-based approach, we thought it's actually simpler to do it more on a per kilometer basis. And so what we're recommending is that the rider, the resident, pay $3.25 as your minimum base fare for a transit trip. The town at that point would cover up to $10 as a maximum municipal subsidy. And then the rider would pay any remaining rideshare fare. So I've provided a few examples on the screen here today. The top 2 were previously transit hubs, and the bottom 2 would have been just the $4 discount under the current model. And so as an example, the Lakeshore Branch Library to Innisfil Beach Road would have been $4.20 under the current model. It's actually only $3.25 under the new model in that example. Tanger Outlet Mall in Cookstown to Barrie South Go would have been $6.40 under the hub model. However, because it is distance-based and it's a much longer trip, it actually would be $9.36 based on this. Other examples would be if you're going from Innisfil Beach Park to Friday Harbor, which was not a hub, and so was only previously a $4 discount. What would have been $14.22 under the current model would be about $8.22 under the new fare structure. And lastly, in terms of the slide, Innisfil Beach Park to Sandy Cove under the current model would have been $9, and under the new model would have been $3. And so really what you'll see is if you're taking shorter trips, you actually get more subsidy. As you're taking longer trips that certainly are more difficult to financially pay for over time sustainably as a town, it does get more expensive. So that's just a few examples of sort of how the new fare structure would work. As we get to stage 1B, you'll start to see the introduction. These are the more visual slides of the Alcona Loop. There are performance indicators shown on Appendix J of the staff report, which is page 284 to 286 in the council agenda in detail, but I will summarize them. It's really, in terms of when we would invest or ask council to invest in these fixed routes, it's the point at which the cost of rideshare equals or exceeds the expected cost of offering that fixed route service in the urban areas like Alcona. But also, we do want to ensure that there is certain realized growth, including the operationalization of the GO station in Innisfil, as well as the first phases of higher density transit-oriented development. So we're doing our best through the implementation to align the scaling up of fixed route transit to the growth of the town and transit-oriented communities over the next decade. And in terms of the route shown for Barrie South GO, we've also have other quantitative or qualitative implementation triggers, such as the evolution of the RVH, which you heard about a little bit tonight, as well as the town campus redevelopment that's expected to go through further master planning. As we get into stage 2, we continue to sort of increase and ramp up the number of routes shown. And that still has the same requirements of sort of meeting a threshold of population growth, but also ridership statistics to inform when you actually make those investments into those routes. The Innisfil Innisfil Heights shuttle shown in green could be stage 2 or 3, depending on the ability for us to have partnership. When we reached out to the employment community and did our survey, there was some level of appetite to potentially enter into partnerships, which would allow us to serve an area like Innisfil Heights sooner. And so it's shown here conceptually as either stage 2 or stage 3. Stage 3 is sort of that full 10-plus year long-term recommendations, which would be the full build-out of the transit master plan. That includes dedicated on-demand services. So those fixed routes would essentially, if you're familiar with what Bradford offers right now with Argo, it follows a fixed route structure, but also would have sort of a hybrid component of going slightly off route to pick up on-demand trips based on an algorithm. And so that's specialized and also accessible transit just based on the design of the vehicles that would be offered as part of the long-term scaling up of transit in the urban areas in particular. And the next slide will show graphically where that would serve. And so the stage 3, this would be essentially the full build out of the transit master plan. What you see in sort of that purple pink area is that dedicated on-demand model, which includes Alcona. It goes down into sort of the Guildford-Lefroy area and up into Friday Harbor. We continue to rely more so in the long term on fixed routes in the higher density populated areas. There in the long term remains a role for rideshare and Uber as shown in sort of that light blue, particularly for other parts of town and sort of that first and last mile. And so when I mentioned earlier the hybrid approach, we still believe in the long term there's a role for Uber and rideshare. We also think in urban areas, Future Orbit, Alcona, and the expansions that we're working through our official plan review, it does make sense to invest further into fixed transit. So in terms of next steps, you'll see in the staff report that we're looking for approval for the transit master plan, but there are specific recommendations to phase 1A. So ultimately, we're looking for that council authorize staff to make the necessary changes to implement a distance-based fare structure town-wide and eliminate the use of transit hubs and the flat rate $4 non-hub subsidy, as shown on a previous slide, and also to expand the intermunicipal ride share travel to include both Barrie South GO and Bradford GO. And as I said, to increase the monthly trip cap from 30 to 50. Thank you.
Thank you, Manager Correa. So we're going to be dealing with this item under C1, but we can ask questions now if there's any questions Council had for the presentation. Councillor Drudge.
Thanks, Your Worship. I'll probably say this till I'll get into more discussion when it comes up in C1. But just when we initiate the links route, do we take into consideration that pretty much anywhere in conjunction with that links route that somebody could probably get on that route for the cost of $3.25? If you know what I'm trying to say. Like as that route goes through Innisfil and it's implemented, like from Guildford's sake, we could get to Fennel's Corners for probably $3.25. Lefroy, obviously Clarny Beach Road is going to be close for them to get to it. Have we took that into consideration when we were thinking about how we came up with this cost, average cost?
Through Mayor Dolan to Councillor Drudge, so certainly did contemplate that there'd be a variety of services being provided. Now, when you're ordering a ride share, it's within 4 or 5 minutes. The expected headway would be probably more than 30 minutes. So it's a level of service question. So if there's flexibility and they have a little bit more time to wait for the Lynx bus, then they could get further along for a lesser fare or an equal fare of $3.25 or so. If they would want, let's say, the quicker trip right from their door, and that's when the rideshare cost would prevail. So it's really a preference of how quickly you need to get to your destination and when the next bus is arriving versus if it makes more sense in that case for the rideshare.
Thanks for that. And just one other question. So if Uber fare rates increased, like due to gas tax, et cetera, whatever, would we have the capabilities to adjust our fares to offset that?
Thank you. Through Mayor Dolan to Councillor Drudge. So one thing I'll say with any change, but particularly a fare structure change, we will be on a weekly, monthly basis monitoring the data, the costs and the statistics of travel demand. And if needed, if the costs were higher than we were expecting or otherwise, we would continue to monitor that and more than likely report to future councils on what that means. There would be the ability to adjust as needed, if needed, the base fare or the maximum subsidy should there be any discrepancy. We have done financial modeling both with staff, our consultant, LTRT, as well as Uber. So we think that the $3.25 base fare with the $10 subsidy will work and will actually be more cost effective than our current fare structure. But inevitably, we'll continue to monitor that very closely over the next, as soon as we implement it.
Thank you.
Councillor Zanella.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Tanger Mall one, so you're looking at $19 for a trip to Tanger Mall. We have students that work part-time in the mall. We have residents that work there part-time in the mall. So isn't that a lot? That if minimum wage, I think, is around $19 an hour. So you lose an hour of pay. Like, shouldn't there be more consideration given to a lower fare for that particular scenario?
Through Mayor Dolan to Councillor Zanella. So that's the total trip cost. The new fare for that trip would be $9.36 rather than the $19 that you're referring to.
$9?
Yeah, and currently, because Barrie South Go is a hub, those trips would be technically $6.50 today. And so it is true that if you're going a longer distance, and let's say from the mall to Barrie South Go, it is a few dollars more expensive in the new model than in the current hub. But it would be, for that example, it would be approximately $9.36.
So under the new model, it would be $9, not from a hub, because there's not going to be any more hub?
That's correct. So in this case,
So it
we're
would be
assuming it's
direct
from the
pickup
Tanger
at
Mall to
your-
Barrie
at
South
your-
Go, or from Barrie South Go to Tanger Mall.
Okay. And the other question is, what if you have to go to RVH for appointments and that? Would you use the links? Does it go up to RVH?
Through Mayor Dolan, so the final routing is still being determined. So I can't answer with 100% certainty if it would serve RVH. Our early understanding is that it would pass by the hospital. And as I said earlier, it'd be a choice of whether you'd want to use the Lynx bus, which would be a lesser fare, or use the rideshare alternative.
I'm sorry, use the rideshare.
Yes.
And is that, was there a rate? I don't know if I saw a rate for RVH on that.
No, so regardless of where you're going to, whether it's the hospital, a library, any point in the town, because we're moving away from a transit hub model, it'll always be a base fare of $325,
Okay.
a town subsidy of $10. And if it's a further trip that is beyond that $13.25, the difference is what's paid by the rider.
Okay, thank you.
So I just wanted to clarify, Councillor Zanella, whether you meant the current RVH in Barrie or whether you meant the new RVH. You meant the Barrie RVH, in which point then you would travel to the GO Barrie station and then take a bus from the South GO station to the Barrie RVH. Councillor Fowler, I'm sorry, Deputy Mayor Fowler, and then Councillor Drodge.
Thank you, Your Worship. Quick question regarding enticing drivers up this way. We had a situation a little while back where we had a shortage of Uber drivers, and they were being selective and canceling fares as they were being booked and whatnot, and it caused a bit of a backlog and some issues that arose from it. With this new plan, what do we have to entice Uber drivers up this way? Do we have the tools to make it worth their while to stay in this area, or to possibly make sure that the drivers are more of a local group?
Manager Correa?
Through Mayor Dolan to Deputy Mayor Fowler. So it's my understanding in consultation with Uber, both the existing fare structure and the proposed would result in the same pay, so to speak, for the driver. And so I wouldn't expect a large increase nor decrease in demand for drivers serving the area.
Follow-up, Deputy Mayor?
Thank you. The point of my question was, if there's a mass exodus of drivers from the area, that leaves us in a bind. What do we have? Like I'm asking, do we have the tools to present to Uber to say, look, this is why we need more drivers in the region? Is there something we can do to make that more viable for them? Because when COVID hit initially, we had a mass group come north, and then the people stopped being Uber drivers because of the fact that they were fighting for fares. Then when they left, there was a significantly large drop in service provided, and I want to see if something like that were to happen again, what do we have that would assist the residents, as opposed to saying this is in Uber's hands versus ours?
Manager Correa?
Through Mayor Dolan, I mean, should we see a decrease in the overall riders? I think we would have to discuss what incentives could look like with Uber. I know there have been some incentives in the past, but there's not an immediate action plan. We're not anticipating either a decrease in the number of drivers that would serve these trips.
Thank you. I can say when we originally started the service here in Innisfil Transit, there was a push by Uber to do educational and reach outs to entice people to join the service. That was quite successful at the time, but the Deputy Mayor is right. COVID did put a dent in it, just like it did in most things in our lives. I'm going to Councillor Drodge and then Councillor Richardson.
Thanks, Worship. Councillor Zanella sparked a question. So just for clarification, if I wanted to go, say, from Guildford to Bradford, Sobeys, there would be a discount of $325 up to $10, even though I'm going out of the town, or it will be null and void and I'm paying a regular Uber?
Through Mayor Dolan, unless you're going to Bradford Go, the subsidies would not apply.
So just for clarification for everybody listening, it only applies to in Innisfil, and the only hubs outside of Innisfil is Barrie Go and Bradford Go, correct?
That's what we're recommending at this time, correct?
Thank you.
Councillor Richardson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was just curious about how you decided about with the Alcona Loop. And my only reason I'm asking is because I would think that that would be a lot of students potentially that would be utilizing that. And where you've got it going, it's not a high density area of where students are going to be looking to work. Like, it's not going up to Yonge Street where the student could pop on the GO bus to get into Bradford or to get up to Innisfil Heights to work, type of thing. So I was just curious how that came about. How's that?
Through Mayor Dolan to Councillor Richardson. So certainly we did have an expert consulting team in terms of transit and transit design help us with that. And I wouldn't say it's conceptual. They are fairly precise in where the routes would be. What I would say is because we're not recommending to proceed and implement those routes on day one, there would be further opportunity to refine and come to future councils with the exact routing in a bit more detail. They're shown at a higher visionary master plan level at this point in time, but in the future, there would be opportunity to make refinements as required.
Thank you. Councillor Saunders.
Okay,
I'm sorry,
Sorry, just
Councillor
to follow up, I do want to say that I do like that it looks like it is going around by where, like, I'm guessing by Nantire, which I think is perfect that it is going by Nantire. I just wish it was kind of going out a little bit more to give those students more opportunities of places to go to work. That's all. Thank you.
Councillor Saunders, you've been very patient.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I have 2 questions. You were talking about the orbit for a larger population for a hub. I didn't hear you touch on Friday Harbor, which is expanding astronomically, and they will be hiring a lot of summer students for the golf courses and amenities.
Through Mayor Dolan to Councillor Saunders. So on the one slide where I mentioned potential partnerships, I did highlight Innisfil Heights as one possible area. There have been high-level discussions with some interest from Friday Harbor to potentially form some type of partnership that could help some level of service sooner than stage 3. When we get to stage 3, I don't have the slide, but Friday Harbor is within that dedicated on-demand model. So in the long term, there is a thought of serving it with larger vehicles and more of an urban framework. Should something come sooner than stage 3, because that's a longer term recommendation, it would likely be through a partnership between the town and Friday Harbor, but there's no agreement on that at this point.
Sorry, and my last question, you might not have the answer to this. How many people use up to 30 rides a month? Because now you're asking for 50 or to go up to 50. I just want to know, I don't know if you can answer that right now.
Through Mayor Dolan, I don't have a concrete answer to that. I could potentially try to see if I could find that in the background, but it's likely less than 30–40%. I want to give you a more finite answer. Yeah.
Councillor Waters.
Thank you, Your Worship. I wanted to ask a question considering the gas price right now. How does Uber manage its drivers in terms of what they get paid when prices of gas rise extraordinarily quickly like they have now? Is that an issue that we would have to face in terms of changing prices down the road? How do we manage that?
Manager Correa.
Through Mayor Dolan to Councillor Waters. So it's not something the town necessarily has discretion on. We've certainly seen the increase in gas prices locally and internationally recently. Should there be escalations in fares, it's part of the data monitoring and cost monitoring that we would do on a monthly basis. We don't anticipate that it would result in higher fares, certainly not immediately. It's something we'd have to monitor ultimately, but it's really, I can't speak to how Uber comes up with those calculations.
Yeah, I was just kind of curious because if drivers have no way of offsetting those costs, you're going to see an exit of drivers from the business, making our job much more difficult to deliver transit system based on Uber. So just a kind of a comment, and I'm trying to figure out how Uber would, if drivers started complaining of the fact that gas was so expensive, they weren't making any money. Was there a way that they could adjust it? Would that be a situation where you would sit down, negotiate with Uber a new price?
Manager Correa.
I think that's something we would have to consult further with Uber to understand the full range of options that could be offered.
Okay, thank you very much.
Deputy Mayor Fowler.
Thank you, Your Worship. 2 questions primarily. With 1B, with the loops, as you can tell, we're with the servicing going up to the employment lands along Innisfil Beach Road and the 400. If we find that there's a lot of metadata that shows that the employment lands have a lot of draw, is there a way we could alter the route to potentially add something like that for people who are seeking work or trying to find anything in that region? The second question I have is, Alex, Councillor Waters and I have the same idea that if Uber becomes a problem, hypothetically, and it becomes an unsustainable model, are we open to adjusting to other companies to go and work with? For example, down in Bradford, they have Argo, right? And that is a completely, it's like a transit fare system, but they have the same sort of dynamic. Would we be able to work that into the current master plan as an alternative should things go poorly?
Manager Correa.
Through Mayor Dolan to Deputy Mayor Fowler, I'll probably start with the second question. So when we looked at the dedicated on-demand and fixed routes, it could be a contracted service. It would go through a competitive process, but I am familiar with Bradford, does work with Argo, and they obviously have larger vehicles that have better accessible requirements and larger capacities. The intent would be that would serve the area that was shown in purple, sort of that urban area up to Friday Harbor. In terms of what's in the master plan, it doesn't contemplate that going town-wide. Should we run into unforeseen challenges around costs or service delivery, we could potentially pivot, but that would need further analysis at that point in time.
Follow-up?
The employment land route? How would we, with the metadata coming from Uber, if we see as the development happens and the companies come, as we want them to, and the employment draw pulls people up, is there potential, if there is the draw with Uber, to add an additional route to 1B or extend it?
Thanks. Through Mayor Dolan. So as I mentioned in the slides, while we're providing the entire master plan, we intend to come to council at each major milestone of implementation. If through our data analysis, we noticed that there was significant demand to an area like Innisfil Heights, it's possible that future staff and councils could consider either adding or changing the routing of one of the routes shown. We do show an Innisfil Heights shuttle or bus. It's just a matter of when we could scale up and provide that. It's shown as either in stage 2 or stage 3, depending on our ability to enter into some cost sharing partnerships with employers in an area like Innisfil Heights.
Councillor Waters. You're on mute, Councillor.
Sorry. I was a bit concerned that since we're asking so many questions now, it may not get polled. So I'm going to make my comments now, and that way I don't have to worry about it not being polled and more questions being asked later. So if that's all right with members of council.
It's all right, Councillor Waters, but it will be getting polled.
Okay. All right. Then I will leave my comments and questions till then. Thank you.
Thank you. I had a couple, and one of them was the comment earlier, the first kind of community route, fixed route being the Simcoe Links Transit, which in fact really we've had a community fixed route since the 70s, which is that GO train or GO bus route that goes up and down County Road 4 or Yonge Street from Barrie South GO to Bradford GO. And it's not shown on any of our maps or any of the consultants' maps. So I think it would be good to show it, just because when we do get the links, it would be nice that there wasn't too much duplication between the links and the GO bus. I still have an issue with where the links is shown, particularly where it goes from the Barrie South GO east on Mapleview through the city of Barrie, and totally misses Sandy Cove Acres, which I think is probably one of the areas where most customers would come from in that part of Innisfil. So I will continue with my county hat on to push either coming south on the 20th and then east on Lockhart to cover Sandy Cove, or to come down Yonge to the 11th and across, either, whatever makes most sense. I'm not really care about that piece of the route, but I care deeply to make sure that the Lynx bus goes past Sandy Cove Acres. On the app, so if this resolution was to pass tonight, and it says immediate, I think the word in the resolution was immediately, how soon is immediate? How soon before, if this resolution were to pass tonight, how soon before the changes would be made on the app?
Through you, Mayor Dolan, it's our intent to, should council approve that tonight, that it would go in effect by July 1st.
Thank you. And let's say that we've got a bunch of transit users that have been using us regularly for, a number of years, and they don't watch council meetings and they don't pay attention to what's going on here. Come July 1st, how will we notify them? What's the communication plan so that they know something's going to be different as of July 1st?
Through you, Mayor Dolan, I wouldn't have all the details. However, we would be working closely with Jane in communications as well as Uber. We were also asking them, should this be approved, that they would receive a notification through their app itself, as well as updating town websites, materials, and we'll work on a comprehensive communication strategy between now and July to make sure residents are informed and not surprised come July 1st.
Thank you. And as we know, the Innisfil Transit or Uber rates fluctuate due to demand, number of cars, all those other things. Will it be clear on the Innisfil Transit app exactly what the fee will be before they click accept to accept that ride?
Through you, Mayor Dolan, yes, they would know the exact cost of the trip before they actually confirm the trip.
Wonderful. And then my last comment was kind of addressed earlier about new technology that's arriving, and people have talked about the Argo technology used in Bradford, which I think has been quite successful in increasing the ridership. But then when that happened, there was a big decrease in satisfaction because there were, people talking about 2-hour waits and so on. And I know Bradford Council's going to do an in-depth kind of customer service review on the Argo system. So I guess my question around that is, how will we monitor new technologies? And when we do find one that is innovative and working really well and having great success, how will we be able to integrate that into our transit system?
Through Mayor Dolan, that's a great question, and I don't want to jump to a contracted service because we also do want to have discussion to see about the feasibility of potentially partnering with City of Barrie and their transit as well. Ultimately, we do expect over the next 10 plus years, technology will continue to evolve. There might be options 10 years from now that exist that we don't even know about in terms of sitting here today. I think similar to the Uber partnership, we would likely get into shorter term contracts with enough language in those partnerships that we could make adjustments to those agreements over time as required. And ultimately, it's a matter of both data analysis and closely monitoring performance of transit, performance of the vendor, should there be a contracted service. It's something that we'd have to continuously review and update council on over time.
Thank you. And then just one other quick comment on the Argo, because I know that they did a presentation to ESSA Township also about potentially, but I think it'll be very hard to make it viable in a place like ESSA with such a large geographical area and a relatively small population, unless they chose only to do Angus or only, because in Bradford right now, Bradford only provides transit to their settlement area, if I understand correctly. So all of Bradford does not get transit, only the settlement area, I should say all of Bradford West Gwillimbury doesn't get transit, only the settlement area of Bradford is accessible to that transit, and yet everyone in the community is paying for it. And I think that's what I really like about Innisfil Transit, is we're all paying for it, but everyone in the community also it's accessible to us all. So I think it's a more fair model. That's just a comment I wanted to make. And so since we are going to be pulling this item and probably having some more discussion, I think now might be a good idea to ask a mover and a seconder to receive the presentation for information. Moved by Deputy Mayor Fowler, seconded by Councillor Constantine. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you, everyone. Now we'll move to item 6, delegations. We have no delegations this evening, and we'll go to item 7. Item 7 is the opportunity for members of council who've been requested to represent Innisfil on other boards and commissions to bring forward any information that they would like to talk about. Councillor Constantine.
Sorry. Today we had our Museum on the Boyne meeting, and Museum on the Boyne is proud to announce that it will host a comprehensive truth and reconciliation exhibit in September. This is more than a display. It is a space for reflection, a journey through our shared history, and a step towards a more unified future. Stay tuned for more details and specific opening hours. And Museum of the Boyne addresses 250 Fletcher's Crescent in Alliston.
Thank you, Councillor Constantine. And if you've never been, it's worth the trip. Other boards and commissions? Councillor Zanella, did you want to bring up your South Simcoe Streams?
Sorry, yes. I think, thank you, Clerk Marshall, for putting that up. So South Simcoe Streams Network, we are starting our planting for spring planting, and we have 4 community events that we are always looking for volunteers for. So, and this is also going to be on the website. We have a couple that are in Innisfil, but they're on private property, and we have the students from Nantyre and St. Peter's will be helping out with those. But if you're inclined to come out and help us with any planting in any of these areas here, Thornton is probably the closest one, and then we have the Angus and Agilitas. So we really always appreciate any people that can volunteer. We continue to achieve goal of stream and habitat restoration in action-oriented ways through community engagement across the municipalities of South Simcoe. And in collaboration with the municipalities, local business, conservation authorities, and many are organizations, we're invested in streams together for community and watershed health. So please take a look at that, and if that's something that you could be interested in, we'd really appreciate you coming out and helping us. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Zanella. Anyone else? I just had a couple. So at County Council yesterday, Council learned about a report, lessons learned from the ice storm by our emergency management team. So it doesn't seem like, but it was a year ago almost that we endured the ice storm, and the emergency management team has come out with quite a comprehensive report talking about lessons learned, what we would do the same, what we would do differently, should we experience something similar. And I'm happy to share that with our emergency management coordinator and our director of operations, so you could have a look at it. Also this morning was the Police Services Board meeting. We are pleased to finally approve our strategic plan that goes from 2026 to 2029. There's been some great work done on that, and happy to see that come forward. And also we've launched a new website. It's gone live as of mid-February, and the website is looking very good. As always, the Police Services Board meetings are open to any public who'd like to attend. They're in person half the year in Bradford, West Gwillimbury, and then half the year here at the town of Innisfil. And we always have updated stats and updates on different concerns and cases solved in the community. And they are interesting meetings, and always a focus on traffic safety and intersections that we're having issues with. And that's it for me. So that's item 7. So now we'll go to item 8. Oh, I'm sorry. No, now we'll go to item 7.1. Is there a mover and a seconder for that? Councillor Zanella and Councillor Richardson. It is election year this year, both for the Ontario Small Urban Municipal Association and also for the AMO, the larger AMO, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario. There'll be an election in Ottawa in August. These are slightly different elections because it's the peers that are voting for who they want to represent them on their boards. And thank you. All those in favor of the recommendation? Any opposed? Thank you for your support. I've been sitting on the OSAM board since 2011, and I will let you know in May whether or not I'm successful for another 2 years. Next is item 8, which is our consent list. And for those who haven't been here before, we go through the list of items that have been printed on the website with recommendations from staff for a week. If council are happy with the recommendation from staff, it won't be pulled. There might be questions asked on it. Any items that are pulled will resolve into committee the whole to have further debate, and any items that aren't pulled will be confirmed as recommendations of council at the end of the meeting. So we'll start with item A1, the special council meeting minutes dated March the 11th. A2, the council meeting minutes dated March the 11th. B1, the Innisfil Accessibility Advisory Committee meeting. B2, the summary report of the March 5th Innisfil Advisory Heritage Committee meeting. Councillor Drotch.
Thanks, Your Worship. I was actually thinking the Deputy Mayor was going to pull this so that we could move forward on supporting that letter, since you are on the Heritage Committee.
I'd be more than happy to second it if you pull it.
I'd like to pull it, please.
Thank you, Councillor Drotch. Next, we have item C1, the Transit Master Plan update. Councillor Saunders.
Can you pull that, please?
Thank you. Next, item C2, the second concession drain improvement appointment of engineer. C3, the South Innisfil Creek Drain Branch B improvement appointment of engineer. And C4, the Prokopchuk Drain Improvement Appointment of Engineer. C5, the Noise Exemption Request from Friday Harbor. Councillor Saunders.
Can you pull that?
C6, the Additional Lake Haven Park Agreement. C7, that is a report on part of 74105 Side Road sale to the County of Simcoe for road widening. C8, appointment of an integrity commissioner for 2026 to 2029. D1, the statement of council remuneration and expenses for the year ending December 31st, 2025. E, there's no bylaws, so we'll go to F. F1, the Metrolinx Safety Risk and Intelligence Analysis Brief. Councillor Zanella, pulled by Councillor Zanella. G1, the letter from Minister of Rural Affairs for Economic Development Award. I just wanted to congratulate again the folks from the Economic Development team for winning that award. G2, the Simcoe County Council highlights from March the 10th. G3, the proclamation for Epilepsy Awareness Day, which is tomorrow, and it's why many of us here are wearing purple tonight for epilepsy. G4, the proclamation for Education and Sharing Day, which we heard about in open forum. And then H, motion for which notice has been given, there are none. And so we'll go to the consent list recommendation with the items that have been pulled. There we are. Thank you. Mover and a seconder, please, for this recommendation. Moved by Councillor Saunders, second by Councillor Drodge. All those in favor? That is carried. Next, a motion to resolve into committee of the whole, please. Moved by Councillor Zanella, seconded by Councillor Richardson. All those in favor? That is carried. And we'll go to our first item, which was item B2, and that was pulled by Councillor Drodge.
Thanks, Your Worship. I just pulled this so that we, as a council, could, instead of considering the letter of support recommending that funding for the Agricultural Conservation or Conservancy Ontario proposed Heritage Building Grant for Housing Fund be included, I think we should move forward and do that letter. So I'd like to put that forth.
Thank you, Councillor Drodge. I might just ask the mover and seconder if they might entertain a friendly amendment. The resolution actually asks that we send a letter asking for this to be included in the 2026 provincial budget. The 2026 provincial budget is happening tomorrow at 4 o'clock. So us getting a letter to them before then, and let's face it, it's been printed by now, so I don't think we're going to have any effect on having that changed. But I wondered if we could amend the last sentence to say included in the 2026 as well as future provincial budgets.
I'm okay with that.
Would the seconder be okay? Okay. Questions or comments on the amended recommendation? Deputy Fowler.
Thank you, Worship. This is a win-win, like with housing being in high demand right now and the ability to create new spaces for people to live as well as maintain the heritage. And the fact is this is provincially driven. So, I mean, this is something that everybody wins at, you know, with very little cost to the town. So I can't see a harm in supporting this at all.
Anyone else? Seeing none, happy to write a letter to that extent. So all those in favor? That is carried unanimously. Next is item C1, the Master Transit Plan, pulled by Councillor Saunders.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillor Drodge is going to second me on this. I just pulled this because I think we need to have more discussion going forward to see if we want to recommend this tonight.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments on it, Councillor Drodge?
Thank you, Your Worship. So I wanted to pull that. We did already go through this pretty extensively. I've pretty much asked all my questions, but due to the fact that it is such a big document, similar to the fire master plan that we just had there last meeting, I think we need more time before we make any decisions on this plan. I think we need to go through it a bit more to make sure we've covered all angles. So I was looking to defer it, but I won't put that forward yet and if there's more questions to be had.
Thank you. Councillor Waters.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you for the opportunity. So first of all, I want to say that it is a very extensive document, and I want to congratulate staff for all the hard work and the consultants that we used to put this together. That being said, although I think the phases are a good idea, I think we're being a bit timid on using triggers as a method to institute these things. Innisfil was bold when it came up with the Uber solution, and we drove by doing that. We drove a public transit system from where we had nothing to where we're having thousands upon thousands of riders. I think now we're kind of sitting back saying, well, let's wait for this trigger to happen before we implement the next phase. I think we need to be as bold as we were the first time. I think we need to implement B and phase 2 simultaneously with the link system that goes in 2027. And just because I think they all work together in terms of supporting each other. I think if we go with the link system and then we wait a little while longer, I think the link system will suffer in terms of it won't be as vibrant as it should be. So I would like to see that maybe a recommendation here is that staff prepare for the 27-28 budget to include those additional phases, because the second phase is not that much, because we're not buying a bunch of buses. We're just going to hire a contractor. So the cost to implement that second phase is not that much. And to sit and wait for a trigger, I think is rather timid. I think we need to be bold and we need to drive that ridership. I think we can get those triggers will happen faster if we're proactive in terms of implementing B and phase 2 simultaneously with that. So, and I think that's Mr. Stilich had mentioned that in his letter to us. So I fully agree with him. I think that we are being a bit timid and we need to move forward and faster on that. And I would also like to see some more conversation between Mr. Stilich's routes and what we've chosen as well in terms of having a good discussion on those routes. So I wanted to congratulate staff for putting the document together, but I think we're being a bit timid, and I think we should move ahead with a more bold part of that. And I also think that moving forward on those partnerships with Friday Harbor, with Innisfil Heights employment centers, and even down at Cookstown, I think there could be a partnership there. So I think that all needs to be driven ASAP and will drive ridership as opposed to sitting and waiting it to happen to see, if our Uber ridership is more or less expensive than what we might have. So I just wanted to make that comment, and hopefully it will strike a chord with some of the other councillors, and that we may be interested in adding another recommendation to it to move it forward into the 27-28 budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Drodge.
Thanks, Your Worship. Just to piggyback off Councillor Waters, do we have an idea of what, just correct me if I'm wrong, I should know this. Stage 2 is just the Alcona Loop, correct? That's my first question.
Manager Correa.
Through Mayor Dolan, so stage 2 includes the Alcona Loop. It also shows the Innisfil-Barrie route. And then depending on the ability for partnership, the Innisfil Heights route.
Do we have thank you for that. Do we have an idea of what the cost of that route is going to be, average for the rider?
So the cost of the
fixed route. So I guess my mindset is if it's under $3.25, because you could take an Uber, like I said, to the links if you had the time. So I'm just trying to understand if the Alcona Loop is $3 to get on that loop, or whatever one of those loops are, it would be about the same cost. It wouldn't be, because I do agree with Councillor Waters that we have to have it in conjunction so it works better, but if you could still get onto the links for $3.25 and the fixed loops are of similar cost, then you're not really saving any money.
Manager Correa.
Through Mayor Dolan, it is in the report. I just got to find the number. It's in the vicinity of the County Links cost for a fare.
I'm sorry, I should know this as well. Excuse me. And do you know what would that cost be?
I just need to find it.
You just need to find it. We can come back to it.
Well, while he's looking, I'll go back to Councillor Waters. Is that an old hand or a new hand, Councillor?
Oh, sorry, that's an old hand. Okay. Sometimes it just goes down automatically.
Yeah, thank you. Deputy Fowler?
Thank you, Worship. I'm just trying to process the information as it comes through here from Councillor Waters. Last meeting, or the previous meeting when we had the fire services plan, master fire service plan, we were talking about the $2 million for the firefighters being brought up, but we were questioned for them. And I believe it was CEO Gershow said it was going to be 2%. I believe it's 1% per $1 million to the tax budget. So if we're not looking to spend it on one particular thing, the idea of spending the same $2 million on transit, I'm just trying to understand the concept, because, I mean, with the master fire plan, we're looking at something that will take effect immediately, whereas this is something that we can judge with costs and stages, and we don't know what's happening as we don't have all our master plans in place. So in that scenario, I think that's jumping the gun and tacking on an extra 2% onto the tax roll for something that may not blossom. We have something here, it's measured steps, it's going forward, and we're taking the metadata and judging it as we move forward, as opposed to just, here you go, let's see if we sink or swim. And if I'm personally myself, if I'm put into a situation where I'm going to be told that, you know, here is $2 million that's going on the tax roll, if I'm going to be putting in the idea of transit that may not work versus a firefighter service, that, in my opinion, would be something, a different hill altogether. So I think right now they have a good plan. They're measuring things as they go, and let's just see how it unfolds. Being bold is good, but being bold at the point of hurting yourself in the future is not. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy, just help me understand where the $2 million for the buses came from.
Stage 2, right here, total estimate municipal cost, $2.08 million. That was part of the slideshow, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Waters.
Thank you, Your Worship. I think it's an incremental cost that you're paying for up to the $2.17 million for stage 2. I think, and then they said of all 3 phases, stage 2 was the least costly to implement, because you're just going to put a contract out and say these are the routes we want to run. What's it going to cost? So I think that that's pretty good. So I'm interested. Innisfil was innovative when we came up with Uber. I think it would be a bold move, and I don't think I think the numbers we would make those triggers happen faster with implementing that, as opposed to sitting back on our fannies and thinking that, you know, we're going to wait for it to happen. So I think if we implement and integrate them all at the same time, I think they'll work off each other, and it'll be much more efficient, be much more cost effective, and we'll put ourselves years ahead, as opposed to waiting, like we're going to be waiting, like says, we're going to be waiting for years for the orbit and the GO station down there. So anything that's going to be designed for that part of the routes is going to be years in waiting. So I think we can drive the other parts to the employment lands, to Friday Harbor and our other partners through those partnership runs. But I think they also link into the link system. So I think the deputy mayor is being not nearly as innovative, as bold as he could be. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Waters. I'm still confused. So I'm showing the cost of stage 1 is 1.61 million. That's the cost estimate for municipal. And then I'm showing stage 2 is 2.08 million. But is that on top of the 1.6, or is that simply like $400,000 more?
So through Mayor
That's a good question, but I just assumed it was just $400,000 more, as opposed to $2 million that the deputy mayor was mentioning.
Through Mayor Dolan, Councillor Waters is correct. It's incremental costs for stage 2. And just for the previous question, for the fares, it would be $3 for a single rider, with an option for a monthly pass of $60.
Thank you. So just to make sure everybody understands, the cost for stage 1, which we're asking to be approved today, is 1.6. And then adding stage 2 adds 400,000, not 2 million. But my question is, if we add the loop in Alcona, I'm assuming that means no more ride transit for anybody in that area. So I'm worried a little bit about the backlash from that, going from having instant transit to my door to now walking to a bus stop and waiting, I believe we said 40 or 45 minutes for the next bus route to come out. Am I right? Manager Correa?
Through Mayor Dolan, that's correct. The headway would have to be confirmed, but that's our understanding at this point.
Councillor Waters?
Thank you. I was going to say I was disagreeing with the manager says, but he obviously is part of the. I assume that we were keeping the ride sharing with the first bit of fixed routes, that we wouldn't get rid of ride sharing until phase 3. So that was my impression, that ride share would still exist with phase 2 and those pieces.
Manager Correa?
So through Mayor Dolan, the way the master plan is crafted is where and when we introduce fixed routes, you wouldn't offer the ride share. If we were to offer both, the budget would be significantly higher.
I think the budget would be significantly higher and the bus would be empty because people would choose the ride share over the fixed route, I would think. But I think to Councillor Drodge's point about a referral for 2 weeks, I'm sorry, deferral, I always get those mixed up, for 2 weeks makes sense based on just some of the conversation in the room. I don't want staff to at all think it's because they didn't put a fulsome report in front of us with all the information. For me, it's about having an opportunity to hear from members of the public who maybe didn't avail themselves of the opportunity to get involved with all of the engagement that was done and maybe haven't been paying attention to it. I'd like to understand a little bit more how they feel about the new fare system and about the phasing opportunities. So those are my thoughts. I just want to make sure we're done with any other questions before we have a motion to defer. Councillor Richardson?
Sorry, I'm just trying to go back to the map that shows like that route. So I just wanted to know if, as we're saying that once the Alcona route is started, there will not be any ride share for those along that bus route. Where would how would be the cutoff, so to speak, of if your street is included in part of, you should be able to be taking and walking to the bus as opposed to, same idea as I guess with the school bus for the kids to take, if they're so much far feet away from the bus stop, would they qualify to still be able to use the ride share, or that would be no longer for them and they would have to take the fixed bus route? I hope that makes sense.
Manager Correa?
Through Mayor Dolan to Councillor Richardson, I think that's probably something staff would want to take back to look at further. In terms of our recommendations, we weren't expecting the fixed routes, so it's something we would want to look at in more detail. But the intent is in Alcona generally, where that exact boundary is, we would have to confirm when there is those fixed routes or on-demand systems, you wouldn't also have the ride share available.
So if you were on the other side of Innisfil Beach Road, where that route was, you would still, so if you were, say, at Alcona Glen, you could use the fixed, you could call for the ride share and you wouldn't have to take the fixed route?
I think maybe that's Manager Correa said he'd like to take that back to think about that. Councillor Zanella?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. What kind of bus are we using for the handicap or for the accessibility people? Is that in stage 1B?
Manager Correa?
Through Mayor Dolan to Councillor Zanella, so where there is either a contracted service like an Argo or a partnership with City of Barrie, those vehicles would meet accessible standards. For rideshare, we have and would continue to recommend using Barrie Taxi as an alternative for accessible trips.
Thank you.
Councillor Drodge.
Thanks, Your Worship. I know we're looking to renew the youth-based voucher pilot. I think it's December 31st, 26, and on if we can. will those vouchers be allowed to be used inside those fixed routes? Would they still be allowed to use those vouchers? Once, like if we initiated the Alcona Loop early, would those vouchers still be allowed to be used?
Through Mayor Dolan, we probably want to take a further look at that. However, the intent is generally where there are those fixed routes, none of the vouchers or rideshare would apply.
Thanks for that. So yeah, definitely I'm thinking a deferral at least to next council meeting, maybe even two. I'd like to put a deferral forward. I think there's just some unanswered questions, just some clarity, and no disrespect. I know you put a ton of work into this, and I appreciate everything you've done, and I think we're this close, so I'd like to defer this. Maybe, I'd like to see maybe even two council meetings away. If it doesn't, actually, no, I think that might fall on, I'd like to have this come on the opposite of the fire master plan. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Thank you. I'll look to the clerks then to figure that out. But in the meantime, do you have a seconder for your motion to defer, Councillor?
Councillor Saunders.
Thank you. And I would ask then questions only on the motion to defer. And the first question would be from me, which is if we aren't planning to implement till July 1st, would a 2 or 4 week deferral make a difference? Councillor, Manager Correa.
Through Mayor Dolan, I believe we could still meet the July date. I would just have to confirm that with Uber, but we've done vouchers already because we transferred last summer, so we do have some experience with it. So I anticipate we could still potentially meet the July 1st date.
Thank you very much. Okay, final questions on the deferral motion? Seeing none, all those in the, that was Councillor Drodge and seconded by Councillor Saunders. And we'll go to CAO Jershow.
Thanks, Mayor Dolan. I think before council votes, we wanted to establish what the new date would be, or maybe I'm just missing part of the text, April 22nd, because council's previous decision with respect to the fire master plan puts it on April 8th. Maybe I will take the opportunity to just share with council and the community, you know, as we're in the home stretch of the council term, and especially for our meetings coming up to the end of June, we have been trying to arrange things so that only one really big master plan comes per council meeting. Totally respect council's desire to have more time to think about these master plans. They are absolutely big decisions, so you should not feel rushed in making them. I just want to observe that it's going to start creating council meetings where we have 2 or maybe 2.5 really big decisions at the same meeting. But I think April 22nd in this case is workable.
Thank you. And I think it's probably, part of it's about a really big decision that impacts 10 years of council for the next 10 years, but also it's about getting that feedback from the public. Most councils have committee of the whole, make a decision in committee of the whole, and then they've got 2 weeks before they confirm those decisions in a council meeting. So they have that time to have that feedback and response from the public. Because of our fairly unique situation where we go council, committee of the whole, and then right back into council to confirm at the end of the meeting. Sometimes it makes it look like we're trying to rush stuff through when that's really not the intent. And part of when we decided to go with that format, one of the comments of the day was use the deferral motion for big decisions when you need more time to get feedback from residents. So yeah, so I'll just, but not to CAO Jershow, we're going to have some late meetings. He's warning us we're going to have some late meetings. So I'm going to tell everybody to pack their pajamas for the next few meetings. Okay, so now we'll move to the motion that's on the screen. All those in favor of the motion? Any opposed? That is carried. Thank you very much. Now we'll go to item C5, and that was Councillor Saunders.
Thank you. Councillor George is going to second this for me. The reason I pulled this is I'd like to hear what council has to say about the noise exemption and the reports and what's been going on the last couple of years. But then I'm going to talk as well about what the residents are saying.
Questions or Deputy Mayor, did you have your hand up? Councillor Drodge?
Thanks, Your Worship. Yeah, I wanted this poll too, just to have a discussion. Like we have had residents. I'm sure the ward councillors had more conversations with the residents in the point than I have. But even myself, on the complete other end of town, have heard some concerns about the noise coming out of Friday Harbor. So yeah, I too was interested to talk about, you know, should we have it at 90 decibels? Should maybe we look at lowering it a little bit lower? I've actually took the time to listen to what 90 decibels sounds like on a YouTube channel and 80 and vice versa. So there is a difference between 90, 80, 70, 60, et cetera. So I just wanted to pull it just to have a conversation as well, just to see with anybody's thoughts if we think that 90 decibels is still an appropriate level.
Anyone else have questions or comments? Councillor Richardson.
I would like to know just how much of an impact the music being loud, being able to be loud on a Sunday really doesn't impact like the Friday Harbor vibe and the, just because I mean, our cottage for our family cottages is beside a resort as well. And I know that listening to music the whole weekend when I go up to the cottage, it's frustrating because you just want to enjoy a little bit. And so I wonder if maybe on Sundays it could be, maybe it needs to be lower decibels on Sundays, like still be able to be a little bit louder, but maybe it should be the lower on the lower end on Sundays type of thing, just so that the residents that live around Friday Harbor have at least one day of just kind of, that they can have a little bit of peace. Like, I understand that it's a vibrant place and you want to have music and you want to have people come there and it's fun to go there, but just thinking about maybe on Sundays in the afternoons, maybe it's down just a little smidge just to give them the residents a bit of a break so they could sit out in their backyard and just be sitting in peace and quiet.
Any other comments? Seeing none. Councillor Saunders.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. So I have received numerous emails and phone calls. It always happens at this time of year when it comes along. But some people are against it fully. They want to end it, everything. Other people love it. Other people want it like end earlier during the day. And then there's just, we got to try and find a balance. The resort is there. The resort has to be vibrant. It has to attract people, but it also has to be fair to both residents of Friday Harbor and the Big Bay Point area. So I'm not going to exempt any times. I don't want to exempt any, I don't want to exempt the Sundays. Sunday afternoons there are very popular. But I do have a recommendation that I'd like to bring up. I'm going to go along with what Councillor George says. Bringing down the decibel level to 80, I'm just going to bring up my map. It says sounds above 85 decibels are harmful to the ear. If you're at 80, and they don't always hit 80, they don't always hit 90, a lot of times they're way less than that. 80 decibels is heavy traffic or power lawnmower. If you look up to like 100, you're listening to a motorcycle or an ATV. So you know that it's quite loud and it does travel quite often through the area, especially on really nice days. So what I would like to do is just put a couple of two little amendments in there that the sound doesn't exceed 80 decibels, but like I said, they don't hit it that often. I think last year they only hit it once. And then we, because all the kids are going back to school on Labor Day, both residents of Friday Harbor and residents of Big Bay Point, I think we need to get the kids back onto their schedules, and we need to end the music exemption Monday, September 7th. So so mostly for the kids, that the parents can get their kids back into the swing of things for school. And most people are back to work at that time. A lot of the cottagers have left the area. So that's just my amendments that I'd like to do.
Questions or comments on the, or do you have a seconder, Councillor Saunders?
Raj.
George? Can I ask, just because are the times, the Friday, Saturday, Sunday holiday, are those times the same?
We didn't change the times, no. There's no time changes, no.
Thank you. Okay, questions or comments on the amended recommendation? Councillor Drudge?
Thanks, Your Worship. I did recognize that Hani is in the audience from Friday Harbor. I would give you the opportunity if you did want to have to say something before we decide on this.
So just, I'm sorry, but
Is that
Councillor Drudge, you don't have the ability
sorry.
to do that.
I can't
but
welcome?
With
My apologies.
But if with two-thirds council, we can amend the procedural bylaw to do that. So do we have two-thirds? Okay, go ahead, Mr. Roost.
My apologies, Your Worship.
Councillor, thank you. Good evening, Madam Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and members of council, and of course, town staff. So, on this specific point, our request remains consistent with what council has previously approved and what has been proven to work effectively. I do believe that the staff report and town records support our request as it has been presented this year. We have consistently operated, below the 90 decibel threshold, and I think the staff report this year shows that the average officer, we have not exceeded the 79.9 decibel on average, right? So, and we continue to work very closely with the bylaw staff. We've implemented a number of protocols over the years that have been proven to be very effective. So in that context, we respectfully submit that there's no basis to change the existing standard, okay, to treat Friday Harbor differently, right? Because that's what I understand is being discussed over here, right? Like the decibel is for, the 80 decibel that we're discussing here is to apply to Friday Harbor only. Is that correct, Councillor? Or in general within the town of Innisfil?
It would be in general, but it's directed directly at Friday Harbor for this exemption.
Okay, so look, I would ask council to maintain the current framework. I mean, I appreciate the discussion, and we'll take council's feedback under advisement. And if you can allow us a bit of time to really revert back to you on that, we'll definitely do it. Councilor Richardson, in regards to Sunday, the noise exemption applications actually, limits music to 6 p.m. on Sunday, right? But when we asked for an exemption on Sunday, was for long weekends only. So we're very understanding of the fact that our community, even within Friday Harbor, that would love to enjoy a Sunday, hence the 6 p.m. end time. But when there's a longer weekend, obviously it's understood that everyone would like to really enjoy Friday Harbor, enjoy the long weekend, and hence the request for that. So I don't know if that answers that specific question there.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay. And Ms. Lay, I think, to just add a little bit to the noise exemption application, we have expressed to the town staff that over the years, and I think, last year's staff report as well proves that we have not been exceeding the decibel level that requires in noise exemption application. And we understood that the town council was in the process of reviewing the bylaw to really accommodate for similar operations like ours, Friday Harbor, and others with the town. But this process did not take place this year. So just to really pinpoint that specific fact. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rustem. Councillor Drotch.
Thank you, Worship. Thanks for speaking, Hanny.
My pleasure.
You said exactly what I thought you were going to say. You keep it under 80. I'm supporting this simply on the basis that historically, Friday Harbor does keep it under 80 decibels. So really, in my opinion, all we're doing is just tightening up the rules a little bit, but you seem to abide by them under that threshold anyway. So I appreciate your comments, and I'm glad you had a second to express your comments. But I still support this recommendation at 80 decibels, simply because you do maintain under 80 anyway. So I'm just all about tightening things up and just making sure we keep it under that 80 decibels, which you're already doing. So thank you for doing that.
No, I really appreciate the opportunity to speak to you. And again, I think the point here is that if the council is adjusting the decibel level for the entire town of Innisfil, that's up to council to decide on. If that's applying to Friday Harbor, then we appreciate the opportunity to revert back to you on that. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? So I'm Director Lee.
I was going to let the deputy mayor perhaps go first, but I did just want to clarify. So the noise bylaw does define noise as anything above 90 decibels. So this noise exemption and the request and the condition that's identified there would be specific to the Friday Harbor noise exemption, so it would not apply to the entire noise bylaw. And I might have missed it, Councillor Saunders, in your revision, but I did want to just make sure that council also noted the change in A in terms of the timing from May to September.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Worship. I like the idea behind the amendment, but when we start picking and choosing the bylaw, what a bylaw applies to what person, where and when, it's a scenario where you have two houses on the point that are not Friday Harbor. They can go up to 90 decibels each, and they can trouble each other as much as they want in the community, but there's a separate rule for somebody else. I don't like the double, it seems like a tiered system or a double standard in a sense, and as much as I can understand the meaning of the amendment, even September 7th, I fully agree with due to schooling and whatnot, to say that everybody but you is where I'm having an issue, because in the report itself, it says the average decibel reading recorded during all inspections in 2025 was 62. There were 21 instances where the decibel reading was between 44 and 70. So right off the get-go, they're under 80, and two, not 21, not 30, not 15, two instances of a reading over 70, and only one was at 90. So, I mean, for the most part right now, everything seems to be applied evenly without any specific isolation of any particular part of Innisfil. So again, I like the idea of the September 7th. I agree with that. But the idea of saying everybody in Innisfil but you, that kind of comes across as, I don't know, if you want to change the whole town, make it fair for everybody, make sure the cottagers are down to 80 decibels, by all means. Let's have a level playing field for everybody.
Councillor Drotch.
Thanks, Your Worship. So my apologies. So the town standard is 90 decibels, so why are they even going for a noise exemption?
Director Lee.
Thank you, Mayor Dolan. To clarify, the noise bylaw defines noise as anything above 90 decibels. We then, when we updated the bylaw 3 years ago, we removed the permissions that were there for noise, which is above that sound level. We removed and required anybody to ask for an exemption on commercial properties. So that's why they have to apply for the exemption.
Thanks for that answer. I thought we were voting on a town-wide lowering to 80 decibels. I didn't realize that 90 was the standard. I'm sorry, I can't support this recommendation.
Councillor Saunders.
Can we modify it back to 90 decibels then and leave the extension to September 7th?
How would your seconder?
I would support that.
have a question. Director Lee, go ahead.
Sorry, Mayor Dolan, just on that, then I would suggest B actually gets removed because then it's just in accordance with the noise bylaw.
Thank you. Is that okay with everyone? Right. So I have a question. I'm not sure if it's to staff or to council. So let's say we hum along this summer and come the end of August, we've got no complaints or limited complaints, less complaints than last year. Is there any opportunity then to, if it's reward for good behavior, I want to say, if it gets to like the end of August and things are going well, then consider extending it back to whatever date it was that they were looking for? Who do I ask that to? I'll ask that to Director Lee.
Thank you, Mayor Dolan. So certainly, Fred Acre Harbor could make a request for an additional noise exemption permit that could come back to council. I am going to have to look at the clerk's department as I think about what meetings we would actually have for that to be considered. You have one meeting in August, the 19th, off the top of my head, but I could be a day or two off. So there is certainly the opportunity they could reapply.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll vote on this motion. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Next, we have item F1, and that was Councillor Zanella.
And the seconder is Deputy Mayor.
Okay. Any comments, Councillor?
Hey, I don't know what to say. I can't believe this. I want Metrolinx, these people who made this decision that they weren't going to go through, I want them to come up here. I want them to come and look at the intersection, and then I want them to come here and tell me why they made such a stupid decision.
Thank you, Councillor. So I just want to give a bit of background on this. So the town received a letter from Metrolinx on March the 11th with the conclusion that they would not be supporting the changes proposed to the Innisfil Beach Road, 20th Side Road Railway crossing. So if you will recall, and I can't remember the year, we had Christian Millet here from the County of Simcoe who talked about a solution for this intersection, which included a concrete barrier to prevent left-hand turns. When you were going eastbound, you could no longer go north. When you were coming southbound on the 20th, you couldn't turn left onto Innisfil Beach Road. Our fire and rescue services did not like it. Our police service did not like it. We did not like it. Certainly the plaza there where the no frills would be severely impacted because it would basically reroute any traffic through that plaza directly in front of a daycare center. So we asked the county to go back, relook at the project, and they did, and they came up with another solution. And we've been waiting now, I want to say 3-ish years, but all in all, we've been working almost a decade with Metrolinx to fix this issue. This is a project that we and the County of Simcoe have been working on, and a reversal of this decision by Metrolinx puts this project in jeopardy. And by putting this project in jeopardy, doesn't just put the realignment of the traffic signalization in jeopardy, it puts the in-services infrastructure in jeopardy, the pipes that are going under the road. Without the pipes that are going under the road, we've put pipes all the way up to the employment area that will have this blockage in the middle because we'll have no pipes under Innisfil Beach Road. In their communication to us, they acknowledged that the railway crossing at Innisfil Beach Road and the 20th Side Road is the top third of the high-risk public crossings in the Metrolinx network. And I'm not even sure if it's the entire Metrolinx network. I think it was in the Newmarket subdivision of the Metrolinx network, which only goes, I think, as far south. It doesn't go as far south as the Green Lane level crossing. So the town has reached out to MPP Andrea Kanjan for any guidance or support as we navigate this very sudden change. We know this is a high-risk and heavily traveled area that passes over the train tracks, and the plan was to work with Metrolinx and the county to make improvements such as road widening and safety enhancements to these tracks so that they are not safe now. So to suggest that we leave them not safe until we can do an environmental assessment and build a separated grade crossing, which if you understand what a separated grade crossing is, it means either a bridge or a tunnel. We're talking, I don't know, I'm going to guess 60 to 160 million dollars and probably a decade to construct. So suggesting that that intersection remain the way it is until all that work gets done is just totally unacceptable. So we're going to request that Metrolinx reverse this decision in our strongest possible language. I'm one for getting along, people. I can normally always work with whatever is thrown in front of us, but this is absolutely ridiculous. I agree with Councillor Zanella, and we need to find an appropriate long-term solution, but status quo is not it. I'm going to go to Councillor Waters.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Worship. I'm going to agree with what's been said so far. I think it's a really bad decision, to have 4 lanes, go down to 2 lanes and go back to 4 lanes again is just outrageous. For one thing, it keeps it as a dangerous thing. But I think from the Ford government's point of view is that I think by us not being able to increase the pipe size underneath those that railway to be able to handle the growth at Innisfil Heights and Stroud really limits the development opportunities that exist. And I think also the pipe that goes down to the orbit also comes on the west side of the railway station. So it really puts in jeopardy all that development. And I think if this government is really wanting us to meet our development objectives and get back to where we were, can't do it when your pipes are undersized or non-existent. So I totally agree with what's being said. And I think a nice discussion with the Premier on this one would probably go a long way. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Fowler.
Thank you, Your Worship. When this last came to council, they gave a very basic, Metrolinx gave a very basic, simple solution that wasn't up to snuff. It wasn't good. It wasn't. It interfered with their agricultural industry. It interfered with emergency vehicles. It was just not up to code. So we said, go back and come back with something better. And the pendulum has swung so far in the opposite direction that you're leaving something in place that is going to cause an accident. Now, for example, I come to a meeting, I know to avoid that intersection between 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock every time. It would be easier for me to go past, down 7th line, up Yonge Street, around the campus and park here because it would save me 15 minutes from one person making a left turn that blocks everybody eastbound or someone trying to get on westbound from 20th Side Road. What they're doing here is they're throwing the baby out with the bathwater at the 11th hour. I'm sorry, this is not acceptable. You don't plan, you don't organize, you don't make a presentation to TSAC where I have the screenshots when they came in. So if anybody asks questions, I could say, well, this is where they have the lights, and this is where they have the median, and this is where they're looking to put the pathway across on the north side of Innisfil Beach Road so that people can walk to the food bank. To go at the 11th hour and go, no, we're going to tack on an extra $60 million, and, you know, you deal with it for the next 10 years. People already drive on the shoulder here. This is, I have no words. Like, it seems like the overcompensation in this to such a degree, there's no thought to it. So, I mean, like, we have to look forward to either having the plan that we had presented to TSAC move forward, which is reliable, it has lights, it mitigates traffic, it takes care of the foot traffic. It also includes the ability to alter the tracks in the future as they move forward until the funding and the reports are put in place that can mitigate a grade separation. Do it in stages, do it simply, do it directly, but either to go all or nothing, just throw it doesn't make sense. So I fully support this. We have to push back, and we have to push back hard. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything to add, CEO Gershow? All right. Looking for any other comments? Seeing none, you can be sure we'll be on top of this one and making some waves. So we have a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. That takes us back to our rise recommendation, please, and that would be moved by Councillor Drudge, seconded by Councillor Saunders. All those in favor, that's carried. And we will go to, to adopt the recommendations from the committee of the whole, please. Moved by Deputy Fowler, seconded by Councillor Constantine. All those in favor, that's carried. And now we'll go to our notices of motion, which we have none, and we'll go to our announcements. And I'll go to Councillor Constantine. No announcements, Councillor Richardson.
Yes, so I just wanted to say there was a great turnout for March break at the Lakeshore Innisfil Idea Lab Library. Coming up on Wednesday, April the 1st at Lakeshore is on April 1st from 9:30 to 11 is an intro to photo editing. It's a free event for adults. Also on April 1st from 11 to 12 is a Learn to Sew class for ages 10 and up, and that's $15. And then save the date for April 14th at Nantyre Shores. They're doing a program night of healthy relationships and human trafficking that will be put on by My Sister's Place.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Waters, any announcements this evening? Oh, I understand Councillor Zanella has your announcements this evening.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
So March 27th is euchre at the Innisfil Lions Club. And I'm not sure what time, 7 o'clock.
Thank you. Councillor, where am I? Councillor,
I have nothing for
you have nothing for Ward 5. See, now you confused me. Ward 6, please, Councillor Saunders.
Thank you. It's Easter weekend at Friday Harbor, Saturday, April 4th and Sunday, April 5th. Annual egg drop, annual Easter egg hunt, and crafts and activities for the whole family.
Thank you. And Ward 7, Councillor Drudge.
Thanks, Worship. On March 28th, it's the Taste of Spring Bake Sale from 9 to 1 at the Lefroy United Church. On April 4th is Community Easter Extravaganza in Cookstown. And I just wanted to, I won't say her age, but I wanted to wish a happy birthday to Sharon Weiss. And finally, I'd like to thank everybody that came out to Councillor Constantine and I's meeting on Monday about the discussion of the rehabilitation on Killarney Beach Road. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy.
Thank you, Worship. On March 27th at Cookstown Lutheran Church, they have a Scandinavian market. Every time I've gone there, I found some really good sweets. You stock up, you get a taste of a little bit of Europe in there, and you're good to go. And thank you very much.
Thank you. I also wanted to congratulate Sue Gilchrist on her 80th birthday that was hosted by the Cove Cafe on Sunday. And this morning attended a Rotary meeting where Sue showed us many of the quilts and the different quilting techniques that she's learned over the years for International Quilting Day, which is this week. I also want to thank the Barrie Construction Association Women's and Young Professionals Group for inviting me to be their guest this evening. It was great, although I'll say that I learned way more from them than they learned from me. But it was a fun day. On April the 1st, I'll be part of a women's panel hosted by the People and Inclusivity Bites of Knowledge series, which will be held at Simcoe County. I'm looking forward to that. And on April 2nd is World Autism Day. So I encourage everybody to wear tie-dye or bright colors for April the 2nd. And a reminder that offices will be closed here at Town Hall on Good Friday and Easter Monday. And I'd like to wish everybody a wonderful Easter and a nice holiday. Thanks, everyone. If there's any other announcements for the good of the municipality, then we'll go to the confirming bylaw and adjournment at 9:22 p.m. Moved by Councillor Drodge and seconded by Councillor Richardson. All those in favor? That is carried.